Hello, it's La Expatriada. I am a single American retiree relocating from the United States into the country of Panama. Y'all, let me roll up my sleeves. This is not a topic that I intended to discuss or really want to discuss, but this is another one of those topics I just haven't learned enough. I can go down the rabbit hole, I can find a lot of information, but there's nothing like discussing this among other expats. But we are talking about money, and people are not always so comfortable in sharing details about how they manage or move money. Let's start with the disclaimer. I am not a financial professional. Most of the information that I will be sharing is US-centric. I'll also be sharing personal information that I have gathered from other expats, and much information from the rabbit holes that I went down learning so much about financial institutions, their features, and their benefits for expats. My passion comes from personally experiencing and seeing other expats experience paying exorbitant, unnecessary banking fees just to access their money. Let's start with ATM withdrawal limits and ATM fees in Panama. ATMs normally limit foreign withdrawal limits to $250 to $500 per transaction. The fee for that withdrawal can be anywhere from $7 to $8 per transaction. Your U.S. bank may also charge a fee for an out-of-network ATM withdrawal. These fees can add up quickly. I personally use an automatic teller machine just to have some cash on hand if I'm purchasing goods or services where I happen to be somewhere where I cannot use a debit or a credit card. Now that I have my permanent residency, the very first thing that I am doing is opening a local Panamanian bank account. So this can reduce or eliminate any ATM withdrawal fees. Also, that's going to be something I'll need to pay rent, utilities, and any related services living in the country of Panama. There is a lot to know about how to open a Panamanian bank account. For the sake of time, I won't go into that today, but I promise I will do that. Or you can check over on some of my short form content, and maybe I'll break down a little video about how to open a Panamanian bank account. Let's talk about a few other options to access money while living abroad. First one is wire transfers. Wire transfers are useful, but can be costly, with incoming fees typically being $25 to $50 per transaction. You've got to be mindful about wire transfers, how long they might take, and all of the small details that might differ from financial institution to financial institution. If you want to move money on a regular basis, this is probably the worst way to do it, in my personal opinion. Another option could be check deposits. This is when you write a check to yourself and deposit that check into your local bank. It is definitely cheaper than wire transfers, but you've got to bring your patience. It can take up to 2 weeks or more, depending on the financial institution, to have access to those funds. And then there are third-party transfer services like Wise. I learned so much about Wise. I've heard other expats talking about Wise. I think there should be more expats talking about Wise. Third-party transfer services offer lower fees, better exchange rates if you're dealing with living abroad and the currency differs from US dollar, and they're faster. There's so much to talk about utilizing third-party services, but I have found this can be one of the most cost-effective tools. I mentioned before, US dollar to US dollar transfers, super efficient. And here's a great benefit. Transfers could be made via bank transfer, credit card, or debit card. Let's talk about two specific financial providers, and that is Charles Schwab and Navy Federal Credit Union. There are so many others to talk about, but I want to focus on these two for very specific reasons. I highly recommend a Charles Schwab High Yield Investor Checking Account. You receive unlimited worldwide ATM reimbursement. There are no monthly fees, and there is a very small minimum balance requirement. There's a benefit of a mobile check deposit through the app, and I've got to mention the app is very user-friendly and very thorough. I really enjoy the integrated banking and brokerage accounts. And this financial institution has very strong expat resources. They even have an Expat Essentials page. I highly recommend you go and check it out, even if you don't have an account with them. Let's talk about Navy Federal Credit Union, also known as NFCU. NFCU supports wire transfers as well as Western Union transfers. The typical wire fees are going to be pricey, $20 to $25. However, they have a unique benefit with the Western Union wire transfer where you can wire transfer money to yourself, and that fee is $14.50. Is wiring money to yourself useful? In my research, I found it is, particularly if you are moving large amounts of money. For example, when you move into Panama and you require a large amount of money for purchasing a property or renting an apartment, this might be a great option. But also, you can go back and compare Wise or any of those other third-party transfer services. Now, if you've been around me before, you know that I like a checklist. So here is a financial checklist that you can utilize prior to leaving the United States. Open an ATM-friendly financial institution or any of your other financial institutions that are US-based. Please be sure you open them prior to leaving the United States. And when you're in the United States opening those accounts, I would recommend that you maintain 2, maybe 3 US-based accounts. You should always have a backup plan in place to receive or move money. And once you're processed in as a permanent resident to your country of origin, I would recommend that you open a local bank account as soon as possible. Here's something to note. When you are opening a bank account outside of your home company, be sure that you understand regulatory reporting as a US citizen by reporting any of your obligations, tax implications, etc. for holding funds abroad. If you have utilized relocation companies or gone on a relocation tour, many of the people who own these businesses are partnered with financial advisors, or they may have services where they can support you in opening a local bank account. Please learn to use third-party transfer services like Wise, OFX. There are a few out there. If you need more information about how to research those, leave me a note in the comments and I'll guide you in the right direction. Be aware of ATM reliability issues. For example, often automatic teller machines can run out of funds, particularly on weekends and around holidays. I'm also not a person who would recommend that anyone is carrying large sums of cash as they move about in their daily life, and personally do not recommend anyone withdrawing cash in multiple transactions and then carrying cash wherever they may move about. I'm not necessarily thinking of a theft issue. I'm thinking of anything else that could happen. Money can be lost, money can be stolen, money can be left somewhere inadvertently. That's the thing about cash. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't get it back. As an American from the United States, we can sometimes take for granted the ease of paying a bill or moving funds around or writing a check. Those things can be done when you move abroad. You just have to do your research, perform due diligence, and share information. And that's why I submitted to talking about this today. Often when I'm researching things, I will go down a rabbit hole. I'll find out one bit of information and it'll take me to questions for another bit of information, and so on and so on. Is that my superpower? Or am I just an information geek? I have literally just shared a teeny tiny bit of everything that I discovered. In a few weeks, I'm going to start moving about the country and visiting all 10 of the provinces in the country of Panama. I hope you come along with me so you can see and learn more about living abroad, specifically in the country of Panama. I hope this information was helpful. Please like, please subscribe, and let me know if you require any further details. Have a wonderful day and I'll see you soon. Okay, adios, bye, ciao.